Vic Hanley. I'm going to give you a quick presentation of the history of the Lesbian and Gay Foundation. As you know, that I'm actually the Acting Salford Secretary. One of my other hats that I wear quite regularly is I am a helpline operator and mentor and general fundraiser for the Lesbian and Gay Foundation. So I'm going to give you a brief history of, first of all, pre-Lesbian and Gay Foundation, and then what happened since its creation. So before the Lesbian and Gay Foundation there were two organisations that were merged to form it. The first one being the Manchester Lesbian and Gay Switchboard Services, rather a mouthful. They were formed by about 8 or 9 gay men in around about 1975 in South Manchester. And this was needed because of the day it was very much a taboo to be homosexual and even to disclose it. So basically it was felt that dropping out of various issues with politics of the day, that there was a need for a helpline to assist people who wanted to have somewhere to go and someone to talk to, someone on the end of the phone. So that was the Manchester Lesbian and Gay Switchboard Services, and that continued its operation. First of all in South Manchester, and I believe it moved to Sydney Street in what is now termed the Gay Centre, in around about 1990, I believe, and was there for about 10 years. On the parallel route was another organisation that was created in 1989-1990 called Healthy Gay Manchester. And this organisation was a charity from the start, whereas the previous one was a community group. The Healthy Gay Manchester organisation were based in Great Ducey Street and promoted health awareness for homosexual men and for lesbians, primarily for gay men, but lesbians were beginning to form part of their reason for being, raison d'etre, I suppose. During this period of time, they managed to get hold of quite a number of companies to actually raise the profile of the issues surrounding particularly gay men and HIV awareness, linking themselves with the George House Trust, which they just formed at that time, to actually prevent the onset of various sexually transmitted infections, but in particular HIV and obviously what it links onto, which is AIDS. There was a number of adverts, as you'll probably recall, from 1984 with John Fox and the falling coffin, was it falling tombstone? Make sure you don't end up in one of these sort of thing. So there was an awful lot of, I suppose, taboo around that time. So again, gay men felt rather ostracised. So the Healthy Gay Manchester team produced these packs. Obviously this is a more up-to-date version, but these packs contained lube, and obviously Jorex produced them at the moment, but they also have condoms inside, of course they were called condoms, which can be quickly opened and used appropriately. So in 2000, in fact August 2000, Paul Martin, the Chief Executive of Healthy Gay Manchester, decided that they wanted to get into a more communication with the gay community, particularly gay men, but also lesbians and transsexuals too. They knew, or at least Paul did, of a switchboard, and they wanted to get involved with them. So they invited the Switchboard Services team, who were struggling financially in 2000, along to a meeting at the Charles Street area, which is where the Lesbian and Gay Foundation were first formed, So the first AGM took place, and I'm very proud to actually have attended that. And basically from there came a number of derivative agencies. One of them was called Icebreakers. Icebreakers is a team of people who actually encourage gay men and bisexual men to come, I think it's once a week, yes that's right, on Wednesday, at the offices of the LGF, and then later adjourn over to a bar in the gay village. Obviously when you're coming out as gay, which is primarily what Icebreakers is all about, you don't know who to go to, you don't know who to turn to, so this is a safe place where people can come to, congregate and share. And basically, they're not alone, you're not alone, we're not alone, I'm not alone. You can go along to a bar and feel comfortable that this is, that these people are going to look after me. So that's Icebreakers. The equivalent organisation or agency for lesbians is called Stepping Stones. Stepping Stones meets once a fortnight, the first once a week, on a Tuesday. Now again, similar to the Icebreakers, this is primarily for lesbians who are coming out, to network them up and to give them a safe place to come to. There are other organisations, obviously the Lesbian Gay Foundation primarily aim at the mental health and physical health and well-being of the lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender, transsexual community, trans community. And as such, they have a website which is lgf.org.uk, which is very much now the prime reason for the LGF. It's the primary way to actually see what the LGF actually do and get up to. Previously, of course, before about 2004, the switchboard was. The switchboard services is still there within the organisation. The Healthy Gay Manchester brand is also still there within the LGF. And we primarily focus the switchboard now on getting people to ring into it if they're in crisis. As a derivative of that, in 2010, we actually created pop-ins as well. Now, since its formation in 2000, the LGF has always had a counselling service, more recently a befriending service as well. But never before has the switchboard services been asked to do an ad hoc pop-in service before. So this was very much new even for myself as a trainer. So the idea being that if someone was in crisis and they didn't really want to talk about it on the phone that much, they wanted to actually physically see someone face to face, and they were in the area of Manchester City Centre, then they could be welcomed to what is now the Wellbeing Suite. Now, we've moved house a number of times in the period of 2000 to now 2013. In 2005 we moved from Charles Street, which we were for 4 or 5 years, over to Princess House. And we were on the 3rd and 4th floors there. And then in 2010 we moved again to where we are now, which is 5 Richmond Street. Now, the previous 2 buildings we've called houses. The first one was Unity House in Charles Street off Charles Street. The second, Princess House, which was already named. But 5 Richmond Street, the Chief Executive, Paul Martin, did not want to be called anything. He wanted it to be called Number 5, and that's how it still is to this day. Going back to the website has a number of agencies linked to it. And as you can see, I'm going to pass these out to the assembled crowd. If you just mind taking one, pass one around. If you turn it over, you can see exactly the agencies that you can find by simply hovering over on the homepage of the Lesbian Gay Foundation homepage, the Get Support tab. As you can see, you can very easily navigate across this web page, and on that tab you can get this pop-up window which tells you exactly how many areas the LGF covers. By clicking on any one of these titles, we'll drill down further into the area you want information about. I'm going to primarily focus on, first of all, STIs, secondly, safer sex, and thirdly, mental health. Now, mental health and well-being, as I've already explained, is covered under the Counselling and Befriending Service. Since 2009, there's been a befriending service introduced, and this has gone even further more recently, with mobile phones being handed out to some of the service users, which have been provided by a local company. This enables the service user to ring directly into a befriender to enable them to speak to someone, like similar to the Samaritans, at certain times of the day, between 10 AM and 10 PM, similar to what the switchboard services offer now. Until 2010, the switchboard services was from initially from 4 till 10 o'clock on 3-hour shifts. The calls died off a bit in 2003, so it was moved from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock till 10, and that was Monday to Sunday. Until 2010, we were able to offer a weekend service. However, when we moved to 5 Richmond Street in 2010, we were not able to offer a weekend service anymore. Instead, we offered a 12-hour service. So instead of being 6 till 10 every night of the week, we offer 10 AM till 10 PM for 5 days a week. This has been reasonably successful from the perspective that if someone gets the out-of-hours answer phone service, that does get monitored, and callbacks are allowed now, as previously they weren't, by someone experienced enough to handle it. Now, in addition to that, the website itself has its own portal to allow any service user to send an email. The email services has always been there since about 2005, since the inception of email services across the commercial world, but also now has been modified to fit into the web page. So by clicking on one of these links that you can see in front of you, it will take you to a web portal you can send a message to, and someone will call you at a convenient time to discuss your issues. STIs, well, we all know what they can be: sexually transmitted infections. These can be transmitted in any number of ways. On the switchboard services, I can tell you that we have regular training sessions where we have to go in order to remain both mentors and helpline operators, to be clued up on modern day thinking, which changes all the time. We have a clinician, well, we did have, of Nathan Perry. He moved on to the George House Trust, and he's been quickly followed by a guy called, what's his first name? David Boyle, I think, not really his first name, but Peter Boyle. He's also moved on to George House Trust. I don't think he's been replaced yet. But basically, both of them were clinicians, and they were able to explain to us in a clinical way exactly what can be done in respect to prevention and what the clinical thoughts are in respect and current thinking in respect to transmission of any particular STI. Moving on to, well, we'll discuss the counselling service. The Safer Sex campaign. In addition to these packs, we have what's called Pride in Practice. Now, what Pride in Practice does is to educate GPs in their own surgeries. We have a team of people who actually go out to health centres and give presentations to the doctors. There's a number of doctors in the area who are not as clued up as perhaps they should be. One call that I received in the helpline, for example, where a service user actually presented to me by suggesting that they had been told that they were mentally unstable to consider themselves as transsexual. And a service user had been told by their GP that because they were presenting with transsexual orientation and they wanted to go through the counselling and then on to the actual physical change, they were told that they were mentally unstable. So it's quite upsetting to people both in this meeting and outside of this meeting that kind of impression is being given by doctors. So the Pride in Practice campaign is particularly focused on educating doctors in respect of the STI message, that in fact we have an ability to assist them. Now, because of the funding criteria for that, that is only aimed at the lesbian, gay and bisexual areas. I understand from talking to TREP, which is the Trans Resource Empowerment Centre in the Manchester City Centre, that we are about to encourage the doctors to have some awareness of the trans community as well. But that's still ongoing and not been set in stone yet. So, living with HIV, there's another link on this page. I'm not going to talk much about that because basically another charity, as I mentioned earlier in this presentation, the George House Trust, would cover that earlier in your day. So, just to round off, we now have what's called the Village Angels. And the Village Angels were brought in fact it was early last year. In fact, reading the magazine of the Lesbian and Gay Foundation, which I brought a couple with me, called The Out Northwest, and I'll pass those around for people to have a look at. This is produced on a bi-monthly basis. The Village Angels service was thought to be necessary because of people in the gay village perhaps getting a little disorientated and getting a little bit too worse for wear on both drugs and alcohol, ended up having some problem getting back to wherever they came from, home-wise. So rather than ending up in a police cell, it was thought by the Lesbian and Gay Foundation, under the mental health and well-being bracket, that it would be best to actually get volunteers wearing pink tunics with very vivid Village Angels marked on the back of them, to actually go down Canal Street in two groups of three, one on one end of Canal Street and one on the other, to kind of help the policing of Canal Street alongside the professional counterparts, the police. Now, this was not to actually do the police's job, I have to say that. They simply were there as a way of supporting someone who got themselves into trouble. To kind of say, we're here, if you want to talk to us, feel free to do so. A bit like a befriending service, but more ad hoc, so they could just, if somebody was in trouble, or they didn't know where a particular bar or venue was, or they wanted to look at a particular event, they could go to the Village Angel and ask them a question. And indeed, the Village Angel would also assist them in simply being there. Because obviously, you've got to bear in mind that sometimes homosexuals, gays, bisexuals and transgender people just know about Canal Street, so they'll just turn up on the street and not know where the bars are, which is the best bar to go to. So, as a result, the Village Angel is there to help. And that's more or less the end of this presentation. Also I can say more recently is that we run campaigns throughout the year, and one of these campaigns more recently is of course the gay marriage theme. Now, it's gone through the House of Commons successfully, and the LGF is particularly proud to be flying the flag in respect to that. We're the only national charity outside of London that have been able to assist the politicians to get things up and running in respect to gay marriage. And we're now just waiting with bated breath for it to go through the House of Lords. Hopefully it will go through, but who knows with politics. So you just watch this space and you will know more about it. Feel free to sign up on our website in respect of your support for gay marriage. Of course, the Chief Executive, Paul Martin, takes a sharp intake of breath at the idea of gay marriage. He wants to make it more mainstream and suggest same-sex marriage, not gay marriage. Because to say it's gay, and I agree with him really, is to say that it's still stigmatised and still separate from mainstream society. So he's really pushing the message, don't call it gay marriage, call it same-sex marriage, or preferably just marriage, because that's what it is. That's what it says on the tin. So, with that, I'm going to hand over to you guys for questions and answers. Anybody got any questions?
How long have you volunteered at LGF and what does it entail?
Right, well I started volunteering with the Manchester Lesbian Gay Switchboard Services around about 1999. Life was very different then, obviously. A lot more calls coming in, approximately 20 or 30 calls per operator, and the two operators sat next to each other. Why did I get involved? I wanted to give back to the gay community what they gave to me. When I came out in, I think it was around 1991, I rang up initially the Manchester Switchboard. No, sorry, that's right, I did ring the Manchester Switchboard. It was so heavily encountered by its callers I couldn't get through to it. So I rang initially the London Lighthouse, which is the equivalent of switchboard in London. And a very nice gentleman answered the phone and told me that it was all right. Simply that word, it's all right. Don't worry, there are other people like you. And not to feel lonely, not to feel alone. And that message came across to me. It gave me an enormous feeling inside that I'm coming out and I've got someone to turn to, I can talk to on the end of the phone. And what they told me, and what we tell our callers as well, is that outside of the hours of the switchboard, you can ring the Samaritans. So that was the primary reason, but there's other reasons as well. Obviously networking, you can actually meet an awful lot of people and make an awful lot more friends. Obviously there's social aspects of the charity, and we meet up quite a bit. There's the involvement with the Manchester Pride movement, and every year we have a walking float. Since 2007 we have had a walking float. Prior to that we've been involved in Manchester Pride on a vehicle of some description. We've always had a focus on a particular area. For example, the t-shirt I'm wearing today, we're not, and what we're not is the area we're not on kind of thing. And that's kind of the primary reason why I got to take the position on the side. It's the end of the program, thinking how people feel the community.
Why is he only using the LGBT today? Why is he only using the LGBT today?
Why do they use the
LGBT.
well, I can only assume that to mean...
Did you not tell them we were having it?
I can only assume that to mean that they weren't aware of it. We did tell them. We actually mentioned it, didn't we, Lee?
The reason I will say this is when I used to help Molly organise lesbian events,
yeah,
the girls never came out. But when we helped organise male events, they all turned out. Do you know what I mean? And so I kind of wondered, what's wrong with, you know, my branch, should we say?
Your branch is
as a lesbian. As a lesbian. No, what I'm saying is, right, why don't they come out? Has anybody ever said to you, well actually we'd rather stay at home and do our knitting, or, you know, bake a pie, or tend the garden, or do whatever?
I think it's to do with locality. If you go to Liverpool, I'm going to do a separate talk on Liverpool, which I'll allude to later, but basically, if you go to Liverpool, it's a very different feel to Liverpool, and you get a lot more lesbians who are activists in the Liverpool area than you would here.
Yes.
Now the Manchester lesbians tend to be more private and, generally speaking, more, dare I say it, scholarly. So they tend to think, as you point out cynically, I would say more generally that they're more akin to stay in their little circle.
Oh,
For
no,
example,
I just
Topperton.
oh yeah, Tottenham's great. You know, second Saturday on every month. 200 women in the British world. God, I've been there too many times.
Absolutely.
The thing is that what I'm saying is, for an out-of-the-way place like Tottenham to have 200 women, right, once a month, right, second Saturday of every month, hello, and all these women come from all over the country, by the way. But Manchester itself, right, whenever we've held anything to do with lesbians, anything, apart from Women's Day, and you get a lot of heterosexual women coming to that, a lot of women from Samaritan helplines come to things like that. So when it's done as Women's Day, it's fantastic. You know, girls' night out and lesbians in love. God, they just go underneath the car. They go out the door. They go, oh no, I don't want to know.
Well, if you ask me my opinion, I think it's possibly because of still a degree of stigmatisation. Gay men, generally speaking, I'm not going to swear, but I'll say they don't give a monkeys about how they're perceived in society. They've got a message to portray, and they'll portray it, no matter what. However, lesbians are a little bit more cautious, particularly the older lesbian, particularly more cautious, and they tend to think, right, why should I have to wash my laundry in public? I don't see the need to do that. I want to have an existence, and I will have my existence. Why should I have to blatantly, chuck it in people's faces?
Because if you read Diva, and you probably have, because it's good for the soul, you'll find in there that, believe it or not, oh God, I've forgotten her name. I don't mean it doesn't matter, I'll email you the name. She's a bit like Richard Littlejohn, in that, she kind of comes over as, because we can't be bothered. In terms of women want all these things, but just can't be bothered to go out there and get them. You know what I mean? They want it to come to them.
That's a perception based on the locality you are used to. I would say if you go to Liverpool, you'll see a very different perception.
I've been, oh God, yes.
And you feel...
Oh God, listen, Liverpool.
Do you agree with me?
Liverpool, I have
Well,
no problem with
Liverpool.
Liverpool, Birkenhead, New Brighton, God, yeah, this girl's travelled. Glasgow, London.
Well, do you agree with me on the precept that
The precept is that here in Manchester, it doesn't seem to, forgive me, whatever. Things like this don't help. They don't. Like, two girls like that, with those t-shirts on, that would help. That is, sorry, women are not Amazons, women are not, oh sorry, it's okay to be a bit...
Well, I'm going to throw it back in your face. You should be putting something on feedback onto this website.
I would if I had a computer and if I was computer literate. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll come round to yours and you can teach me how to use a computer. How's that? Yeah.
Alternatively,
don't
forget the telephone.
Oh, I know the telephone.
So you can give feedback to an operator, like myself, who can type the email for you.
Yes. But you see, the problem I have, I don't trust Paul Martin. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to live with that.
Well, Paul Martin is a very, albeit he is the chief executive and has an Oscar and British Empire. Oscar? No, older. for his services to the Lesbian Gay Foundation and the community. So taking him aside, he is not the LGF.
No, I know that. I know that. See, the thing is that, unfortunately, he's all, no, never mind, I'm not going to do that. To his face.
You will always get personality. You will always get
He's not got personality, love.
And the personality can overwhelm the service user or somebody who wants to impact a message across, which is unfortunate. However, Mr. Martin has done an awful lot for the community, and I applaud him for his OBE. I think it was well deserved. That's my opinion.
Yes.
And that's me done.